This video is a recap of the two keynotes at the 2025 FinOps X show in San Diego. JR welcomed home a record number of FinOps professionals. This year's show focused on the areas of most interest, namely Cloud Plus, Focus 2.0, unit economics, feed, and AI. FinOps has evolved from the public cloud only to SaaS, data center, licensing, and networking. Technologies such as containers and AI are taking center stage in 2025.
By 2025, the big hot topic was how do we manage our AI spend? That's the explosion of what we've heard this last year. And as a result of all these other things coming in, SaaS, licensing, data center conversations, private cloud, and Gen AI, FinOps now touches up to $2 trillion of global spend across all of these areas. And to represent how that's played out in membership in the foundation, we've seen a big number of these new category of big technology companies joining the FinOps Foundation. We announced last week a big set of new members reflecting this expanded Cloud Plus practice. Hardware providers like NVIDIA and AMD joining, ITAM and software asset management providers like ServiceNow, SaaS and PaaS providers like Snowflake, global clouds like Alibaba, and thousands of more practitioners.
These are the topics covered this year, but I would highlight for you, the C-level executive, Focus 2.0, which standardizes billing across AWS, Azure, GCP, and other platforms, so you can compare true cost of ownership across various platforms. Also, the expansion of scope to the data center, so you can start to get the kind of detailed billing that you've gotten using FinOps for your public cloud now in your enterprise data center, as well as expansion across SaaS products and licensing. Also, expanded governance and policy automation capabilities to centralize the control of your cloud spend. Unit economics are an important aspect to ascertain the price of what it costs you to manufacture a single widget or deliver a particular service. Think business-driven cloud spend decision making. Of course, how to measure and to a lesser extent optimize AI spend, which we'll go into later. And last, feed, the announcement of FinOps-enabled executive decision, which we will listen to JR to explain.
We've also added the concept at the top, which we've heard from many of you, that FinOps is driven by executive strategy and technology choices, and those things come together to define how the practice is implemented. That top-level portion is probably the most important. We're calling this FinOps-enabled executive decisions. There might be an acronym in there if you look closely. FinOps-enabled executive decisions start with the idea that the business strategy and tech strategy need to inform the FinOps strategy. That FinOps strategy funnels into a scope which defines which personas, which domains, which capabilities, which phases and maturity of your practice, how you're going to go through that. Yesterday, we had the first, and it feeds data back up to that strategy as well. Yesterday here at FinOps X, we had the first inaugural FinOps Exec Forum. This is the first time we've done this. We brought together VP plus only, so we had VPs, SVPs, EVPs, and CXOs. Sorry, the directors were not invited to this one, to talk about that intersection point, generally teams that were 2 to 3 levels above the FinOps practice. The concept that came out of there was how FinOps is feeding cost and usage data both up and down that stack, informing business strategy at the top levels, where you might have the C-suite defining what new markets we're going to go after and making strategic technology investments. The VPs might be looking at product strategy to figure out how we're going to deliver on those applications. And the other side of that, selecting specific technology services. The directors and managers are looking at speed to market, delivering that with resilience, and they're focused on a lot of the work of FinOps, the operational architectural efficiencies. That then also drives back up. We heard one of the stories in exec yesterday of somebody changing their entire product strategy at the top C-level based on the feedback coming back from the FinOps team.
The Day One keynote brought together practitioners and leaders from around the world to share how they're advancing their practice with FinOps-enabled executive decisions. FinOps is now being applied to a broader scope of technology spend, including SaaS, PaaS, data centers, and licensing. In addition, Focus 1.2 was announced. The cloud panel was hosted by American Express, and it included AWS, Google Compute Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle, all discussing FinOps on their cloud infrastructure. We heard from several leading FinOps architects, including Emma Patke of Align Technology, Anthony Johnson of MGM Resorts, and Thomas Hammer of Nubank, each of which told us about their FinOps development and new implementations. In addition to the industry speakers, the FinOps Foundation announced that they have a new certification for, of course, AI. The Day 2 keynotes were a combination of Mike Fuller of the FinOps Foundation, some leading FinOps architects from major companies, as well as the platform vendors themselves and what new AI enhancements they have for us. Mike Fuller, the CTO of the FinOps Foundation, started things off and explained that FinOps for AI follows the same framework as the rest of FinOps. Now, there are some nuances that need to be taken into account, and each of the cloud platform vendors went into their infrastructure's best practices for measuring AI. We found out from Workday how AI's emerging presence means adjusting business strategies to maximize the value from the AI investments. We heard from PepsiCo how they use FinOps to measure their AI spend on a global basis. And perhaps the biggest announcements came from the cloud providers, which detailed their new enhancements to FinOps support for AI. AWS announced several AI enhancements, with the top one being that Amazon Q developers can now use the optimization hub to get recommendations on the models that they're building. Also, Aurora IO optimized recommendations are available, and cost comparisons in AWS Explorer. Microsoft has come out with new capabilities for their GitHub Copilot, as well as their AI Foundry agent service. Google Cloud has come out with enhancements to their BigQuery export, cost optimization, and allocation. Oracle Cloud has made major enhancements to their carbon emissions reporting, as well as their cost anomaly detection. In summary, FinOps X 2025 was filled with lots of good information for you, the C-level executive, from announcements on how to measure AI expense, extensions to the Focus program, how to do unit economics for measuring individual manufacturing or service delivery, enhancements to governance, and feed, FinOps-enabled executive decision. I hope this video has been helpful to give you a summary of what was covered. I would encourage you to go to FinOps.org to get the full videos on any of these areas that you want more information on. If you like what we covered in today's video, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks.